Okay, Greg, I have 4 words for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
First, all-female spacewalk.
All right.
Yeah.
This is amazing, and this is the first time in history, it's been taking way too long to get to this point, an all-female crew will conduct a spacewalk at the International Space Station.
Such good news. It's part of Expedition 59. NASA astronauts Anne McLean and Christina Koch will carry out the spacewalk on March 29th. And that's not the only women that are involved in this. They're going to be supported on the ground by Canadian Space Agency Flight Controller Kristen Fasciole, who will be at the console at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston.
Oh.
So the women are taking over the world. Like, you better watch out.
Not only the world, but space as well.
Right.
Congratulations to them, and the spacewalk will last 7 hours. Now,
Wow.
do you remember the song in the 70s, "This is Major Tom to ground control"?
Yes.
Now it's, "This is Major Ann and Christina to ground control."
Doesn't flow quite as the same, but it's still a very exciting day.
Yeah, it is. Very exciting. Way to go, ladies.
So a little closer here on Earth, we're going to have a man who found himself struggling with addiction. Rick Bainan found his rock bottom and began to climb out. We're going to hear his story in just a few moments.
Now, I have 3 words for you.
Oh.
Loneliness, isolation, and judgment. And they're just a few of the many raw emotions in transitioning out of the prison system may experiencing while trying to adjust back into society.
In Edmonton, one organization is mobilizing chaplains in an effort to make the transition from prison to the community just a little bit easier.
And Cheryl, you recently visited the Mustard Seed to see the first-hand impact of this program that we're having on the lives of countless women looking to make a fresh start.
I made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of terrible things. I lost my children, I lost my life, I took someone's life. I was living on the streets, I was homeless.
I began gambling. The gambling was not to the point to win money, it was the point to start blocking out and numbing myself against my memories. I was working with people who were a direct part of my past trauma. I began to defraud the organization that I was working for to fuel my habit.
I gave up. I threw the towel in and went back. It ended up me 4 years on the streets. 2011, when I was arrested for my second federal sentence, I ended up taking the life of a gentleman that had taken me off the streets, which sent me back into the jail system.
I was arrested outside my home, 45 months for my fraud. Ended up at the Edmonton Institution for Women.
A very honest and raw portrayal of 2 completely different women's lives with at least one thing in common. A big reason both of these women are able to talk and share their criminal past so candidly is because of the support they've received through the prison reintegration program offered here at the Mustard Seed in Edmonton. Stephanie of now they must readjust back into their communities.
I work with people voluntarily who are working really hard in really courageous ways to change their life and move forward.
On any given day in Canada, more than 100,000 people are either incarcerated or are being supervised in the community. The large majority of those people will end up back in society. Advocates at the Mustard Seed say the support they receive will determine how well they reintegrate and become a positive part of our community.
The internal challenges are shame, guilt, embarrassment, and just trying to figure out where their place in the world is. And I pick people up often on their release day. And rent and damage deposit, those are really big hurdles when you're just getting started.
Oh, it was hard. When I got out, I couldn't.
What a beautiful story, Cheryl. And you said I would probably get a little emotional. I did. You know, these women that are feeling shame and guilt, and Debbie Fawcett praying with them. Welcome to 100 Huntley Street.
Thank you, Greg.
Good to have you here, and a fellow Edmontonian.
Great to be here.
So let's go back to, you're a child and you have a relationship with Jesus, and that never wavered, even through some of the bad times we'll talk about. But tell me, what was it like growing up and having that relationship with God?
I grew up in a beautiful middle-class family in Vancouver. Dad, RCMP, mom, a nurse. They brought us up in church. I had a great life. I accepted the Lord as a young man. In the age of 17, I remember being in a Bible camp, and everything was just perfect, growing along. But like so many teens, those late teenage years, early 20s, I started to get into the party scene. I started to get into the drugs and the alcohol. And the alcohol did take over. And by the grace of God, I was able to quit drinking in my mid-20s. And I didn't drink for years after that, until what you were talking about.
So you're growing up, you're in the party scene. What were you thinking about Jesus at that time? Were you still talking to him? Because I had friends that grew up in the church. I didn't, but they would talk about, even though I was doing partying, I was doing drugs, God never totally left me. Is that how you felt?
I never felt that God had ever left me during that period of my life. I would be in church every Sunday. It was that I was in the bars and the party scenes on the Saturday nights before church. It wasn't my top priority, but it was a priority.
So go along, you get married, you have a family, you're going to church, you're living in British Columbia. What happened?
Well, we had some financial difficulties, which brought us then to Alberta. And those difficulties led. Divorce is hard. There's a reason God says he hates divorce.
Mm-hmm. So what was some of the issues that you were facing? You mentioned the financial, there was the pressure, working a lot, that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, coming to, after the bankruptcy that
despite difficulty and hardship and the struggles of life, we can look up to heaven and say, my hope is not in this world. My hope is in the glory of God.
Is it your time to become a monk? If you're at Huntley Street, if you believe Crossroads Media Missions is critical to reaching our younger generation online with relevant Christian content, and if you want our 24/7 prayer phone lines and now new prayer chat lines to answer calls for help and hope, then please become one of the 1,000 new monthly partners we're looking for this month. Today, 1-800-265-3100 to become a monthly partner.
Baden is my guest, talking about how his life control. He got some help. He was Mustard Seed Church in Calgary. You were recovering. Then what happened?
This is when the story started to get great. I went to a detox in Calgary. I tried to get into any treatment center that I could in Calgary. That's for my family. But there was only one door open, the one God wanted me to take. And from there, I went up to a treatment center in Edmonton. It was there that I started attending Christ City Church, where I now attend still. And I gave my life back to the Lord.
Your eyes on Jesus. Keep your eyes on those who are examples before you. That is said within the New Testament. Isn't that something? So again, hey, right now,